Hey there, I'm Lee from Marriage Fix for Men. Congratulations, you're going to take the first real step in turning your relationship around. And I'm going to reveal the one biggest mistake that most men make, which can make their wife pull further away, even if they don't realize they're making it. I'm going to peel back the curtain on why this is happening in this jam-packed video. I'm also going to break down into 3 little-known steps that can stop this downward spiral, can help you rebuild connection and save your marriage, starting right now, even if you're the only one trying. If you're like most men, you're kind of like in a fog right now. Your mind is sort of tangled, your body's tense. Maybe she's pulled away and you don't know why, or maybe the fights won't stop, or worse, the silence is unbearable. You're overwhelmed, you crave connection, appreciation, but it feels just out of reach. I know that weight in your chest, and many men tell me when I'm working with them is that I'm just afraid of losing it. They say, I don't know where to start. I get it. You're exhausted, running in circles, and nothing's working, and everything you try seems to push you further away. I got you, man. I want you to know, first of all, you're not crazy and you're not weak. What's happening is your brain is in survival mode. Your brain is in fight or flight mode. And when it's in fight or flight, it's like you're in the fog. And I've spent 20 years helping men just like you, and right now your brain is like a faulty alarm system going off at every little trigger, making you react out of fear instead of power. So if you're confused, you're not the only one, you're in the right place. This is why. You don't need to fight harder, you need a different approach. And that's what I'm going to show you now. No fluff, no amateur nonsense. Let's turn this around. Most men never figure this out in time. Most coaches, therapists focus on the wrong thing too. Well, I'm going to break it all down for you so that you can stop making the same mistakes that push her away. Make sense? Yeah? So you can't fix the relationship without these 2 areas. So grab a pen and write them down. Number 1 is awareness of your mindset and your psychology. Your mindset and your psychology. Number 2 is the foundations of a thriving relationship. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to know those 2 things. You're going to discover the 3 critical shifts and the proven steps that you need. A relationship can't survive unless it's built like a house on stable emotional ground, stable foundations, if you like. And it will never thrive in a storm without foundations. Make sense? Yeah? So there's 3 shifts you need to make. Shift number 1, break the cycle. Become aware in this video now. You're going to get this. Aware of why your brain is working against you so that you can turn it around. Right now, remember your natural instincts and unknown actions are actually, what you don't even know you're doing, are pushing her further away. You must learn to recognize these patterns so you stop making it worse and give her what she needs. I'm going to get onto that. Okay, shift number 2. Emotional mastery. We need to learn as men to stop reacting and start actually leading, to take control of our emotions so that they don't take control of you. And nothing, let me repeat this, nothing actually kills attraction faster than emotional instability. So you must learn, you absolutely must learn to shift your emotional state. And that's what allows you to create emotional safety and the connection that you need in the relationship so that she comes back to you. Shift number 3 is the trust trigger. Emotional safety is the foundation of attraction. Without it, there's no connection, no trust, and no intimacy. Until you get this right, nothing else will work. It's really important. We're going to go into that in this video, okay? So let's talk about what most men try and do. Most men try and fix things by talking more, by proving their love, or doing nice things. But if emotional awareness isn't there, if there isn't emotional awareness, there isn't emotional control. Emotional control, if that isn't there, there's certainly not going to be any emotional leadership. So here's the thing. Most important foundation on any relationship is emotional safety. Masculine leadership, if it's not there, nothing you do, how hard you try, what you do and try and communicate better, none of that will matter if the first level of a relationship isn't there. So what is that? Right off the bat, a woman must feel safe and welcome. Grab your pen, write that. I'm going to come back to this because it's not what most people think. So let's break this down. The real problem isn't what you see above the surface. Like with an iceberg, a lot of it's underneath and a lot of it's above. The real problem, kind of like an iceberg, is what you're seeing on the surface isn't the problem. A lot of the guys that I'm working with is like, well, just tell me what to say, or what do I do? But working harder and harder and then ending up not being appreciated and respected. You need to do something deeper underneath the iceberg, because the real solution isn't about fixing her or blaming yourself doesn't do you any good either. It's about understanding the little known hidden forces, the stuff underneath the iceberg that have been running the show. And that's the stuff that we need to master. You can choose now to lean in and be open. And I share with you the stuff that I learned over 10,000 sessions in 20 years of working. You can choose to lean in a way that can change everything. You've got two choices. Keep trying the same stuff that isn't working above the iceberg stuff, or shift now and learn to lead and see everything change. Let's go into the 3 shifts that you need to regain your personal control and rebuild connection. And ultimately what you want, guys, is to reignite that intimacy, yeah? And that's where saving your marriage begins. It all begins here with shift number 1. Why is your brain working against you? Your brain is making you react in ways that push her away. First goal in a relationship is remember, safe and welcome. Write that down, safe and welcome. If you don't feel safe and welcome, it's a problem. Because hurt people hurt people. Let me repeat that. Hurt people hurt people. So you're triggering each other. You project what you're feeling. Kind of like a yawn, right? Have you ever been in a room when you start yawning and then the other person starts yawning? It's the same thing, right? You feel like you're doing everything you can, but nothing's working. What's happening now is your brain is going into fight or flight. And why you're overwhelmed, and it's why you're confused, and it's why you're seeking clarity. It's not your fault. It's your brain. Your brain is running an outdated survival software. It's sabotaging you. Now, a model to help you learn this is something called the triune brain theory. You can check it out. I'm going to make a video below about that. And it's because we have 3 layers or 3 brains, so to speak. And each part of the brain makes us show up, makes us behave in a completely different way. It's almost like we're 3 different people. But let's call it 3 brains for shorts. Primal, emotional, and logical parts of the brain. Primal, emotional, logical. And in this part, we're going to use the idea of just the primal part. The iceberg metaphor, what you see above the surface, she's distant, she's cold, she's saying she needs space, or worse still, I want a divorce. Ouch! So what happens in the iceberg underneath? Well, the primal brain gets triggered. The instinct that's keeping you overwhelmed and stuck in fear is the oldest part of the brain. It's designed to keep you alive. It's called a reptilian part of the brain. It sees threat everywhere, even in your relationship. And when it's triggered, that brain goes into threat. And what does it want you to do? It wants you to fight, flight or freeze. So fight, that means that you're going to argue to prove yourself right in the relationship, or try and fix it, or try and control her. And that will not help. Flight response. So you withdraw, you shut down and think, oh, I'm not going to talk to her, and you just become like a creepy crawly husband, just ignoring her and not looking at her. You're shutting down to avoid the problem. Or worse still, like freeze. You do nothing and just hope that it fixes itself. These reactions, remember, are coming from a primal survival part of your brain that helps you survive in the wild, but doesn't help you lead a relationship. You need to recognize that your brain is being triggered because she's not a saber-toothed tiger. Although sometimes when women get emotional, it can feel like that, right? But here's the thing. If you keep reacting from survival mode, the same pattern just repeats and repeats, repeats. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. The more you shut down, the more she feels distance and thinks you don't get me anyway. The more you freeze, the more she questions if there's anything else to fight for. Worse still, when you react from this survival state, she feels less safe. And remember, if you've written down what I said, the first level in a relationship is to be safe and welcome, or else she'll pull further away. You also may jump from idea to idea. You may be like asking friends for help, what should I do? And you may be triggered to seek help out on social media and try different things and different people and be jumping all over the place. I want to give you certainty, and I want to give you clarity and a path forward. And the thing I want you to get here is your reactions aren't random. It's not your fault. It's the way you're wired up. It's the brain's wiring. They are conditioned responses. and being aware of them. When you're aware of them, you can seek to change them. And it's not about blaming you or, you're the problem and she's not. It's not about any of that. It's just understanding that this is what's going on. Because if you get that you're going into fight or flight, then you're going to think that you're right. You're going to seek to prove that you're right. You're going to damage your relationship further. You will blame her. You will fight, you will flight, or you will run away, or freeze and do nothing. It's what the fight or flight response is built for. It's a primal part of your mind running the show. If you're not aware of it, you can't fix it. If you don't break the cycle, you'll stay stuck in that primal part of you, that emotions will be going out of control, and you will push her further away, because the first rule in a relationship is safe and welcome. We can't work on the relationship when we're in this place. We can't work on getting it closer when we're afraid. When you're in fight or flight, you're a different version of yourself. And remember, hurt people hurt people. We don't mean to, but that's because we've gone into a lower version or a more primal part of us, a reptilian, like a creature that's ready to attack. If you don't have awareness, you will blame and shame. You will fight to be right. You will fight over facts, even if they don't help your relationship. You will seek to blame her, and you will say things like, why is it always the guy's fault? What about her? Shouldn't it be 50-50? You'll go into that space where you're not leading. You can't be right if you're blaming. So an exercise I want you to write down is simply this. Level 1 of a relationship is safe and welcome. It's not about being right. It's about understanding. Level 1 of a relationship is safe and welcome. So ask yourself, write this down. Am I making her safe and welcome? Let's move on to shift number 2. The number one reason why men fail in relationships is they let their emotions control them and don't create emotional safety for their wife. So let's revisit the triune brain theory for this, because I really want you to understand this piece. I mentioned earlier the primal part. That's the part that we were talking about. Now let's go into the emotional part. The emotional part. This is the ghosts of your past. This is where they're running the show, and they can trigger that primal part too. This is where your past relationships, your past emotional relationships are stored, including the ones from your childhood. This is why, if you've ever had an argument and something spiraled out of control, it's because it isn't always about what's happening now, it's about what happened before and the stuff that was unresolved from before. Like I said, it's not your fault. She's going to have her stuff too. So this is where we get in state of triggering each other, and this loop keeps going on and on and on, and we get triggered into this either state of fear of rejection or insecurity. This is where emotional pain lives, this emotional part of your brain. So if you've ever had an argument over the dishwasher or something like that, and it seems like way out of whack, it doesn't seem like that's what it was about. It probably wasn't. It was probably that one of you or both of you got triggered into that emotional part, the part of your brain that stores emotions, the part of you that stores your past emotions, and that part got triggered. Reacting over something, I don't even know what happened. The thing is that you probably were being triggered into a past version of yourself. Once again, the key here, what I'm breaking this down for you in this video, is to get awareness of it, because you can't fix a problem you don't understand. You can't fix a problem you don't understand. And we need, as men, to get control over our states and control over our moods. Let's bring this home to you. Have you ever noticed this, that your mood shapes everything you do? How when you're stressed, you snap. But when you're relaxed, nothing seems to bother you. And that's because your state, your mood, your emotional state drives your behavior. Think about this for a second. If you're in a hot bath and you're really relaxed and you're calm and you've been chilling out and you're having a good day, it'd be very easy to answer in a calm way. However, if you've had a hard day at work, you've just been cut off in traffic, you're tense and irritable, you've not eaten any food, and your wife calls and you just snap at her. Why do we do that? Well, we do that because our states or our moods create the space that we live in. Let me repeat that. The state that we're in creates the space that we live in. And that creates the environment, and that creates the space that embodies that relationship. So we need to ask ourselves, is that safe and welcome? Are we creating a loving safety, a place like a container to be loved and held and seen and understood? Or are we creating a place that we want to run from? You see, many men I've worked with think that fixing their marriage is about saying the right thing or Sometimes it's the intimacy, so we're going to see a sex therapist and try and sort that out. Or even just communicating. We need to communicate better and try and fix it. But these are pillars. These are pillars of the building, pillars of the relationship. And underneath is the emotional safety. It's the emotional controls, the emotional leadership. We need those things in place to build a structure that doesn't blow down when the wind comes, right? So when you're calm, when you're centered and in control, she feels safe. Emotional safety. When you're reactive or needy or on edge, she withdraws. This is the pattern. And if you've got resentment that builds, the emotional brain is running the show. And what should have been done or could have been done is not happening. So if you've been deprived of sex and you're thinking about that, you're in emotional pain. You're no longer present. You're triggered. You're not safe. And remember, hurt people. So you've got to get control of your emotional state and make you and her feel safe and welcome. If you don't control your emotions will control you. You'll feel bad and your relationship will be damaged because of it. So here's an exercise. Write this down. When you get upset, ask yourself, are you being present? Is this normal or am I being triggered from the past? Because awareness is the essential step in any transformation. Once you're aware of what's happening, you can start to work on you. When you work on you, you can work on the relationship. Once again, this is not about blaming you, but as males in a relationship, we have to be the leaders. If we are not, then the relationship will fall apart. Let's look at shift number 3. How emotional safety and leadership rebuilds connection. A relationship is like a skyscraper. If the foundation is weak, no matter how beautiful that designed building is going to be, eventually it will collapse, right? So most men try to fix their marriage by focusing on what they can see, the stuff above the iceberg, by working harder and harder and harder, by buying presents or doing more in the house, or they're trying to focus on the intimacy, or trying to focus on spending time together, working hard, buying presents. But if the emotional safety is not there, nothing else is going to hold. And what dies first isn't attraction, it's respect. And what kills respect is not having emotional safety. When emotional safety is broken, every argument shakes that structure. And over time, the whole relationship feels fragile. She gets to feel unsteady and then unsafe, and then she doesn't want to open up to you. And then she withdraws because emotional safety isn't there. So here's what no one tells you. Safety isn't about physical protection. It's about emotional protection. Protecting her feelings. Taking care of her feelings. The space where your partner feels heard without every conversation turning into a debate or a problem to fix. We need as guys to learn to seek to understand first. A lot of what we do is we try and fix first. And actually she wants to be heard. She needs to feel safe without having to feel like she has to brace for your reaction. When a woman doesn't feel safe, her body reacts as if she's in danger. She withdraws. She guards her heart. She shuts down. Men try and fix this by talking more. And when she's actually needs space, try and fix this by doing more. When she actually isn't safe enough to receive those nice things. Or men try and prove their love when she doesn't trust the emotional presence. She doesn't feel that you're grounded and you're steady. So here's the shift. If you want to rebuild connection, you don't convince her. You create emotional safety first. You never make her feelings wrong. You be a lighthouse and let the waves crash around with you when she's unstable and emotionally all over the place. This is what you need to do if you want to rebuild your relationship. Why emotional safety is the foundation of attraction. So let's break this down. We've spoken about those two brains. Let's talk about the third brain, the logical brain, the one you need right now, the power center that's shut down. This is the part of your brain that sees the bigger picture, that makes things clear, that makes rational decisions. It helps you respond instead of reacting. It helps you create emotional safety instead of fueling conflict. But here's the thing. Here's the issue. When your emotions are high, your emotional brain hijacks that logical brain. You're not thinking, you're reacting. You're focused on fixing the surface problem instead of understanding the deeper issue. You can't lead when your logical brain is offline. To shift this, you need to reset your state. You need to regain emotional control and step into the leader that you're born to be. Imagine this for a second. Like a woman's emotions, you've been in a place where when your partner or your wife is is like totally irrational. Her emotions are like a storm. It's like the wind is raging. It's like lightning striking. And this storm that she's in, this storm represents her fears, her stress, this emotional overwhelm. She'll say things that are irrational and contradictory, and you'll be trying to understand the facts. Now, if you panic or react or lose control in that storm, does she feel safe? No. But if you stand firm, even when she's not, if you stand steady, even when she's not, if you're unshaken, even when she's not, she is then safe to lean back into you. You become kind of like that lighthouse again. This is emotional masculine leadership. You're not controlling her. You're leading the energy of the relationship, allowing her to be in the feminine role and to surrender to you, and for her to come to you, for you to take care of her emotions. When a man can hold space for her emotions, even when she's at her most monstrous, that's when she'll stop pulling away. That's when she'll start coming closer to you every day. When she feels emotionally safe, attraction naturally returns. To do that, she needs to know that she is seen, that you understand her, that you care about her, that you're taking care of her feelings, that you're not focusing on facts and making her wrong. When you do all these, then she starts to trust you, trust your presence, then the walls will come down. Awareness of the mind is just one piece of the puzzle. Maybe you need help with staying in your power, not getting triggered. Maybe you need help understanding the relationship dynamics or getting clarity on a tough situation. For over 2 decades, I've helped people change their lives and change their relationships, and I'll be happy to help you do the same. So I'm going to invite you to a free 15-minute coffee chat where I'm going to help you diagnose the real problem and give you the tools to start turning this around fast. Spots are obviously limited on this because my time is limited and valuable, so don't wait on this if it speaks to you. Head over to my bio, click the link, and book your session right now.